You've almost made it through your third week of school now. We're going to work on making inferences from random samples. This will be the last video with me for a little bit, and then Miss Haig will be doing the next couple of weeks for 8th grade math. Our first example, making inferences from random samples. When we have a sample of the population, we can make predictions about what's going to happen for everybody. So a survey of students at Bravo Middle School shows that 3/5 of the student population eats the cafeteria lunch. If there are 800 students at Bravo Middle School, how many eat lunch in the cafeteria? From our survey, we know that 3 out of 5 students eat lunch in the cafeteria. If this was a good random sample that was unbiased, we would find that we can make a proportion. If we have 800 total students, 800 is going to go in our denominator on the bottom because 3 out of 5 was our total students. Now we need to find what we can multiply by to get from 5 to 800. So as we move from 5 to 800, we can multiply by 160. And if we multiply by 160 in the denominator, we need to multiply by 160 in the numerator. Remember, proportions are just two equivalent fractions. Now, 3 times 160, 3 times 0 is 0, 3 times 6 is 18. We're going to carry our 1 to the hundredths place. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So from our random sample, we could predict that 480 students would eat lunch in the cafeteria. For our second example, if we have a random survey of residents in Willis and it finds that 30% of residents oppose building a new park in town. If there are 20,000 residents in Willis, how many people oppose building a new park? In 6th and 7th grade, you learned that percents are always out of 100, so if we're going to make a proportion with 30%, we have 30 out of 100 total percent. Remember, percents are always out of 100, so 30 out of 100 people would oppose building the new park, or 30%. If there are 20,000 people in Willis, that's going to be our total, or our denominator. We can make a prediction using this proportion about how many of the total people in Willis oppose the new park. We can find what we multiply in the denominator. 100 times 200 is 20,000. If we multiply by 200 in our denominator, we need to multiply by 200 in the numerator. And 30 times 200, well, 3 times 2 is 6, and we need to have 1, 2, 3 zeros. So 6,000 people would oppose building a new park. For our third example, a survey of dentists registered with the American Dental Association, or ADA, found that 4 out of 5 dentists prefer Crest. If there are 12,000 dentists registered with the American Dental Association, how many do not prefer Crest? This question's a little bit different than the ones we've looked at so far. We have 4 out of 5 dentists that prefer Crest. We want to find how many do not prefer Crest. There are a couple of different ways that we can work this problem. We could find that if 4 out of 5 dentists prefer Crest, that means 1 out of 5 do not prefer Crest. So these are the people that do not. 1 out of every 5 dentists does not like Crest. They like some other brand of toothpaste. We can use that 1 out of 5 to set up our proportion. If there are 12,000 dentists with the American Dental Association, our proportion can help us predict the number that do not like Crest. 5 goes into 1,200, 2,400 times, so we could multiply by 2,400. If we multiply our denominator by 2,400, we also need to do the same thing to our numerator. And 1 times 2,400 is 2,400. So there are 2,400 dentists that do not prefer crest? Another way we could have done this is we could have done 4 out of 5 and found how many dentists like crest, and then we can subtract that from our total. So this is just one way. There are other ways that you can find the number of dentists that do not prefer crest. And for our fourth example, a random survey of Bravo Middle School students found that 70% of the students ride the bus to school. If there are 800 students at Bravo Middle School, how many do not ride the bus to school? So we'll do this the other way I was talking about. If we know that 70%, remember percents are always out of 100, 70% ride the bus to school, and there are 800 students at Brabham, we can multiply by 8 on the bottom and the top, and we would find that 560 students ride the bus to school, but we want to know how many do not ride the bus to school. If we do this, we're going to subtract 800 minus 560 because that's how many actually ride the bus, the rest of them do not. 800 minus 560, well, 0 minus 0 is 0. Borrowing from our hundreds place, 10 minus 6 is 4, and 7 minus 5 is 2. So 240 students do not ride the bus to school. If you need to pause and rewind any of these examples, please do that now, and we'll be working on making predictions on Monday using our random samples.